Well, soon the case of the Capital Gazette shooter will be in the hands of a jury. It will decide whether the man who murdered 5 people at the Capital Gazette was sane at the time of the killings. The shooter admitted his guilt in court yesterday, and tomorrow morning jury selection will start for the next part of the case. WJZ investigator Mike Helgen live with the courtroom battle to come. Mike?
Nicole, the central question for jurors is whether the shooter should be held criminally responsible for his actions that day. 300 potential jurors have already filled out a questionnaire, and the jury selection process is expected to take the rest of the week. The headline in the Capital Gazette Tuesday is Jared Ramos' guilty plea to all criminal counts in the mass shooting at the newspaper, one of the deadliest attacks ever on journalists in America. Now, the next phase of the case is set to begin, and it won't be easy for loved ones of those who died and those who survived the violence.
Having to not go through this part of the trial, which would have been an argument of his guilt, certainly seems validating, at least on my own end.
Jurors must decide whether Ramos is not criminally responsible by reason of insanity.
Not at the time of the trial, but at that time when he was committing the crime, whether he had the ability to understand what he was doing was wrong, and or whether he had the ability to confine his behavior to what was right.
It is rare in Maryland for a defendant to win a case like this. The burden of proof is on the defense team.
When it turns into a fight, it is very common for the government to prevail.
A Maryland Department of Health psychiatric evaluation found Ramos was legally sane. Jurors will see evidence, including letters Ramos wrote, to give a clearer picture of his mental state.
What you're going to end up seeing is really just a battle of experts.
The outcome will determine whether Ramos goes to the Clifton T. Perkins Maximum Security Psychiatric Facility in Jessup or spends the rest of his life in prison. And prosecutors have previously said they would like to see 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole, 1 for each person who was killed. Reporting live at 7 in Baltimore, Mike Helgen, WJZ.